Hey, Clayton, in the first episode about Mark, when you talked about Mark chapter 2, Jesus was in Capernaum, and you said Jesus was in his house or Mary's house. But wouldn't his hometown have been Nazareth? Also, Jesus said that he didn't have a home in another verse. How could this be Mary's house or his house? Okay, this is a great catch. You caught me. I made a mistake. On the first episode we did about Mark chapter 2, I said, I read the verse in Mark 2 verse 1. It says, a few days later, Jesus, when again he entered Capernaum, the people heard that he had come home, and I saw that word home, and I did not think it through, okay? Because here's what's going on. Jesus was born in Bethlehem, very famously, right? That's where Christmas happens. But then he is chased out of Bethlehem when he's a young child. And when his family moves back to Israel, okay, they got chased out because they were being hunted by King Herod, who did not want them to live. They come back to Israel after he dies, and they move to the town of Nazareth, which is where he grows up, okay? And there are other places in the Gospels where Jesus goes to Nazareth, and they call it his hometown. But when he was an adult and doing his ministry, he moved to a place called Capernaum, which is on the Sea of Galilee, and he conducted most of his ministry there. So a lot of the stories in the Gospels happen in and around this town, and it was sort of his home base as an adult. It wasn't the place where he grew up, but it was home base as an adult. You can sort of think of it like this. Illinois calls itself the land of Lincoln, right? Like we put it on our license plates, but Abraham Lincoln, you know what state he was born in? Kentucky. And he grew up in Indiana, but then as an adult, he made his home base in Illinois. Same idea here with Jesus and Capernaum. Probably in Capernaum, the place where he would have been would not have been his house or Mary's house. That would have been in Nazareth. It would be Peter's house or maybe Peter's mother-in-law's house, because we have stories where he is with, Peter's mother-in-law in their home and she's taking care of them and so on. And interestingly enough, archaeologists have actually found and excavated a home that in ancient times they were pretty confident was Peter's actual home, and they built a church over it. So if you go to Israel, you can actually go to what is most likely, or a very good chance, is Peter's home that Jesus was doing these things in. So probably that story where we were talking about, digging through the roof and lowering someone down, that pretty likely could have been in Peter's home, or maybe it was someone else where he was staying as a guest. If you reflect a little bit more on Capernaum, it's interesting to say, well, why would Jesus set up his home base there? We don't know why he would have done his ministry there, but there's some interesting things. Capernaum was on a trade route, which means it was a thoroughfare where lots of people would come through. It was also the place where Herod Antipas, the leader there, had kind of made it his center for customs and tax collecting in that region. So it was an important place where people needed to do business. There were a lot of Jews there, but also a lot of Gentiles coming from the nearby areas. So it was kind of a diverse area. So you can see that this might be the sort of place that you'd say, man, this is a pretty strategic place in this kind of, part of the country to set up a ministry and kind of be able to travel to different places and interact with different types of people and so on. So perhaps that's the reason why he set up his base there. But what we do know is that being in that location near Galilee, near the Sea of Galilee, was actually a fulfillment of a prophecy in Isaiah chapter 9. So it says this, in the past, he humbled the land, that is, God humbled the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, but in the future he will honor Galilee of the nations by the way of the sea beyond the Jordan. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light, and on those living in the land of deep darkness, a light has dawned. And so the gospel writers actually use that verse to say this is what was going on. He was by Galilee of the nations, because there were Jews and Gentiles, by the way of the sea beyond the Jordan, and that's where the people who are walking in darkness saw a great light. Thanks for listening. If you've got your own questions, email questions@BibleSavvy.com. Like and subscribe to catch our regular episodes every Monday on the Bible Savvy Podcast.